soul is calling you to something greater. Are you listening? Connecting with your soul and purpose does not have to be complicated. In fact, the answers are already within you and the clues are already laid out in your life, ready to show you the way. And I love to help people to simplify the understanding of their soul purpose, and their soul journey. So if that interests you, you are in the right place, and let's dive into this together. So first of all, why does this matter, and how does this practically improve your life to align with your soul and your soul purpose? And the answer is because to be aligned to your soul and your purpose is to be in your most authentic self and your most natural, organic, and authentic life that you came here to live. It's about you being your most free-spirited self and having that impact every area of your life. When you feel authentically aligned and you feel like you can just be yourself and you've got freedom and spaciousness and you feel like there's purpose in your life and you have joy, then what happens? Your energy frequency lifts. And because life is energy, your energy ripples out into every area of your life because you're the common denominator in everything inside your reality. So this lit up, joyous, aligned, authentic, free you is then going to impact your health, your financial situation, your relationships, your career, your business, all of it. So the more aligned you become, the more aligned your life becomes. So living aligned to what we might call your higher purpose, what I call your soul purpose, is also important because it is the only reason that your beautiful soul decided to incarnate in this lifetime. It's the reason you're alive on the planet. And so when you synchronize yourself, you, like what I call, wake up inside the dream of life and go, oh my gosh, I'm something more than this human body. I'm something more than this mind noise. And there is something in me that wants to express. And you bring yourself into alignment with that. You are synchronizing with the intelligence of the entire universe because that intelligence is in you and it's wanting to awaken, it's wanting to express. So as soon as you become aligned and express it, you're now in a synchronized flow with life. It's like a symphony. It's like a part of the universe, like a instrument inside an orchestra becomes tuned in to the wider symphony and it creates harmony. So it's about you coming into conscious awareness of your purpose and you embracing it and the impact that it makes in your life, which is massive. Now, I lived without any sense of purpose before I woke up to all of this, which was back in 2010. And when I woke up to this, the reason I'm so passionate about sharing it is because life became dramatically different as a result of recognizing my soulful self and that there is a purpose for me and for you and for everyone else. And life became more meaningful, more magical, and more flowing once I connected to what I'm going to share with you today so that you have an option, if you want to connect in with what this means for your life. So, side note, I am not here to tell you your truth or to preach something to you. I'm going to propose things to you, and I want you to listen to your own instincts. I want you to listen to your own heart and your own intuition, because when we hear truth, it starts to resonate inside of us, okay? Now, from this first-hand experience of knowing and living aligned to my soul and purpose, this is why I do what I do, because I noticed tangible changes started happening in my health as soon as I got aligned to my soulful self and my purpose. My confidence lifted to more natural, more genuine, free-flowing and easy confidence once I got aligned. My communication became more powerful the more I was aligned internally to who I really am, who I was born to be. And as it is for me, so it is for you. That's the point of sharing it. Because I've seen this for clients as well. I've seen so many come in and come into this alignment of who they really are, and everything in their life starts to elevate, and it's like the light going on, the light in their eyes going on, the light in their heart coming on, and everything starts to shift. So now that we understand why knowing and living your soul purpose is so beautiful, so practically useful, and we might even call it essential, let's take a look at what we're going to cover in this video and how it can help you so you know where we're heading. So we're going to talk about what actually is soul purpose so that we can name it and understand it. We're going to talk about common misconceptions about purpose. I'm going to share with you the 4 parts of our soul plan, because we all have a soul plan when we come here, and there's 4 common themes inside of it, and all of them have purpose for you. We're going to then talk about signs and symptoms that you might be out of alignment, as well as if you're in alignment. And then I'm going to give you 2 exercises to help you uncover your unique soul purpose in this life. Then I'm going to point you to 5 additional resources outside of this video if you're interested in mapping your purpose and understanding your soul journey, things that have made a really big difference in my life. And we're going to talk about also how the universe is guiding you in your journey and purpose. So if you're thinking this sounds like a lot to figure out and I'm on my own, you're not. All of life is supporting you to awaken to the purpose that is seated within you and helping you, guiding you on your journey in just the most mind-blowing, beautiful ways. And then we're going to talk about overcoming common blocks, okay? Because awakening to your soul purpose is beautiful, but then like you're in a 3D world with a life set up the way it is. How do you deal with making changes in your life? How do you deal with living an aligned, authentic life for you from wherever you stand right now to whatever that might look like? And we'll talk a little bit about integrating this into daily life so you've got kind of practical, tangible things to think about. So let's start with the foundation and talk about what exactly is soul purpose and how do we recognize it in our lives. So just so that you understand where I'm coming from when I share this, everything I'm going to share with you and everything that I do in my work and my coaching practice is from what I call my soul odyssey framework, okay? Soul odyssey, because we're all here on an epic journey through life, a soul odyssey, and that is a map of your soul journey from beginning to end, from birth to death. And it's a blueprint, a system for connecting in with and understanding and living your unique, most soul-aligned life. Now, where did that come from? That came from 9 years of deep diving into everything soul, spirituality, purpose, and soul journeys, working with systems in this dimension and receiving wisdom and guidance from other dimensions. And I poured that all into my books, coaching, and my programs. You can find out more if you want to dive deeper in those things. You can find out more with the links in the description. But let's talk now about a somewhat definition, if you like, of soul purpose. So the first part is we have to talk about what is a soul before we can talk about soul purpose. So soul is who you are. We are not just human beings. There is something about us that is bigger and is non-material and is non-physical about who we are, that existed before we came here and will exist after our body is gently laid aside at the end of this lifetime. So your soul is a divine non-physical aspect of you. You might call that a spark of divine consciousness. You might call that the divine light within you. Some people call it the higher self. I use soul for the same phrase, higher self. And this part of you is the true original part of you, okay? And you're currently poured into a human body because you chose to come here. Why did you choose to come here? What are you doing on earth? You are here having a journey from birth to death. You call it your life. And really what's happening below the surface of your life, the surface is like your career and your relationships and all the stuff that's happening. Below that, there is a spiritual unfolding happening called your soul's evolution. And it's occurring inside the mechanisms of your life, of your 3D practical life. So I love to call this your soul odyssey, right? This journey, this epic adventure that your soul has chosen to take. So if you're a soul and you're here on a soul journey, what's the point of the journey? What is the point? The point is your purpose. When you chose to come here and incarnate, you came because you had a specific reason for wanting to come here, a specific evolutionary purpose to be on earth at this time. Okay, you are an expression of God, source, divinity, creator, oneness, whatever your faith, religion, whatever your spirituality or belief system, we honor and cherish them all, right? And you are an expression of that, poured forth into this body to experience an evolutionary journey, a raising of consciousness. As you raise your consciousness, the consciousness of all raises. But there are very specific aspects to your soul purpose, things that you came here for. And we're going to talk now about parts of that. So after a long time mapping this, 9 years of studying this and mapping it, there are 4 common things that all of us come for. You cannot escape it. It's already happening, and hardly can it be by mistake. So these 4 things combined are all part of your soul's overarching purpose. Each one has specific purpose. Now, all 4 things are happening for your entire life. It's happening right now. As you're sitting in the seat or laying on your bed or wherever you are watching this video, your soul purpose is happening right now. And you are either going to wake up inside the dream of life and bring consciousness to recognize what is going on here and then embrace it, which helps to make sense of your life. It brings you peace. It supports your evolution. It's magical. Or all of the 4 things for your soul's plan and purpose will still be happening, but you won't be aware that it's happening. And often that can feel a little bit like life is pushing you around to try to get you to wake up. And we will achieve our soul's plan and purpose for being here, even if sometimes we have to get dragged along a little bit unconsciously, not realizing what's happening. So I'm really passionate about supporting you to live an awakened life, because when you do, everything becomes more magical and more flowing. So here are the 4 things: learning, healing, growth, and contribution. Those are the 4 parts of our soul's plan for being here. And your learning is purpose, your healing is purposeful, your growth is purposeful, and the contribution you are here to make is also purpose. I'm going to go through each one with you so you can see exactly how this is playing out. Listen from your life experience, listen from where you're at right now for how this is true for you. So the first one being learning. We are here to learn. It is impossible to be alive on this planet and not learn. You just can't. We are constantly learning, actively and passively. We can actively choose to learn and engage in training and education so we can expand our knowledge, our skills, our understanding. You have an impulse to want to do that. Where do you think that impulse comes from? That's divine impulse. And also we passively learn because life is basically one big classroom. So we're forced to learn sometimes, whether we like it or not. Does that ring true? Right? Circumstances, challenges, you get to learn things. You don't really want to learn them, but nevertheless, there you go. You are learning. So we're learning about what it is to be human. We're learning about mind, emotions, body. We're learning what does and doesn't work for us. We're learning how to be in relationship with each other and with life itself. We're learning so many different things on so many different layers. Profound life lessons are being taught to us constantly. Whether we seek it out or not, we are absolutely going to be learning. Now, most importantly, what does learning lead to? Learning leads to evolution at every level, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. Learning takes you closer to peace, happiness, and success, everything you want. Learning is crucial for all of that. And learning is crucial for your spiritual evolution. I want you to think about the fact that we are wired to evolve, and your learning aids this. So learning has deep purpose on so many levels, and I just want you to reflect. Learning is part of why my soul is here. Think about that. Learning's part of why my soul's here. Reflect on that for yourself. Now, the second part of the soul's plan is healing. It is another common element of the reason our soul made a plan to come here. So we are all called during our lifetime into healing at different points, different levels. Might be spiritual healing, might be psychological, emotional, physical, or other types of healing. And these things come up as we journey through life, different seasons of our life. There isn't one person that I've ever met on this planet that hasn't had an opening, an opportunity, or a deep need, in fact, for one kind of healing or another on their journey, and where that wasn't significant in terms of the meaning for their growth. And there isn't one person for who that healing didn't make a positive difference, whether it's to resolve something or evolve into something. I want you to think about this. We are designed to be in balance. Nature is in balance. The universe has balance, and you are designed to be at balance. You are designed to have an equilibrium of your soul, your body, and your mind. And when something is out of sync, then what happens is we get called back into balance. And the mechanism to come back to balance is what we call, in our human language, healing. Okay, so healing has a deep purpose. It's basically a return to wholeness. And when we feel whole, then what happens? It helps our confidence. We feel more peaceful. We feel happier, right? And here's another thing to notice is the feedback loop and the connections between the four things that we're talking about here: learning, healing, growth, and contribution. Because when you heal and you return to equilibrium, you also evolve in the process. You also usually learn in the process. So these things are feeding each other. The third aspect of the soul plan, learning, healing, growth. We are evolutionary creatures. Everything about life is expanding and evolving. Source, God, creator, divinity, universe, whatever you call it, is an ever-moving energy that is constantly expressing into form, shifting, adapting, shape-shifting, creating everything. Now, what happens when you learn? When you learn, you grow. What happens when you heal? You grow. Learning and healing lead to growth. It is a natural consequence of being in the classroom of life and healing. Not to mention, notice this, you are wired to grow. I want you to think about yourself as an explorer of the frontier called life on earth, called being human. You have come forth as an explorer, and there is an impulse inside of you that wants to grow. We ask questions because we're trying to understand, we're trying to expand. We thirst for understanding. We want to grow intellectually, psychologically, emotionally, physically, spiritually. We long for new experiences because they prompt and provoke growth. We want to grow through new and different goals and dreams. We have new aspirations. Why is that? Those things generate growth. We seek out new and more because it's a natural impulse to do so. And we're never done growing, because one second you arrive at a destination and you've achieved something, and what is your human nature to do? Your human nature wants to set a new goal and wants to grow more because that's what you're designed for. And I want you to think about this. Stagnancy is the opposite of growth. Stagnancy, stuckness, no movement, it's the opposite of life's impulse, life's evolutionary impulse. Now, here's something really interesting that I received in a spiritual quest that I did, is this, and it came in loud and clear. Stagnancy, spiritually speaking, is death. And that might seem brutal, but what it's saying is you are not designed to stagnate. Source is ever moving, ever expressing, ever creating, and you are part of Source, then you are also part of this outward movement of Source energy. That's why you will never stop wanting to experience and set new goals and have new aspirations and desire new things because it's natural, it's wired into you. And then the fourth part of your soul plan, we've got learning, healing, growth. The fourth part is contribution. This is what people often refer to as purpose. So what does contribution mean, and how exactly do we contribute on this life journey? Again, it's actually impossible to live on this planet and not make a contribution. So we want to challenge what you think purpose is and what you think contribution means. Because your being alive, being born, and you just being here and breathing has already made a contribution. You made a difference the day you were born as a sweet little baby, and you open your eyes and you smile, and your energy has now had an impact on everyone in the room. You've influenced and impacted the lives of other people. And throughout your life journey, this is happening constantly in ways that you probably don't even understand and don't recognize. So the ripple effect of your being here, just being you, just being open, just being heartful, that is a massive contribution. And that's before we even account for the fact that you can choose to do things in the world, and the things you do can become part of your purposeful contribution. So think about what happens when you bring your authentic self into the world. What happens when you intentionally choose to make a contribution, to do something? What happens when you're doing what you love? What happens when your mind is filled with thoughts like, I love doing this, I enjoy doing this makes me happy. I'm noticing that what I do also helps other people, or maybe it makes other people happy, or it provides some kind of benefit and value into the world. What is happening? That is you living your purpose. That is you making a difference for yourself and everyone around you. And that is making a difference to humanity as a whole, because you are energetically connected to everything, everyone, everywhere, all the time. So, your learning, your healing, and your growth, I want to share with you that these are your soul lessons. Learning, healing, growth. We can wrap those up in a bow and call those your soul lessons. Specific things your soul came here to learn, to heal, and to grow through. And they are unique to you. And contribution, that can be wrapped up and summed up as what most people call my life purpose. The things I do, the things I want to do, some way I can contribute. So while we're all here for these four things, absolutely, and it's already happening for you, even if you haven't recognized it yet. Learning, healing, and growth, and contribution. But the beautiful, amazing thing is, you, my friend, have unique learning, healing, and growth soul lessons, and you have a unique, purposeful contribution. And it is possible to connect you with what that is, and we're going to start doing it right now. There's going to be 2 simple exercises later in the vid. We're going to go through it. I'm going to step you through it. But before we dive into that, we want to talk about some common myths and misperceptions, because we need to break your awareness open a little bit. Sometimes we pick up ideas about like the word purpose, and it blocks us, and we get stuck and we can't see clearly. A lot of people think that your contribution, what you might call your life purpose, this part of your soul plan, that it's your job, that it's going to be your career. And what I want to say to that is it absolutely can be a huge part of your soul purpose and how you make a contribution if you want to. And it's beautiful, but that is not all that it is. And we know absolutely that your soul purpose is not just about a job or career or a vocation, because babies have purpose and they don't have jobs. Children have purpose and they don't have careers and businesses. And elderly people who have retired may not have a job, a business, or a vocation, but they too, like all of us, have higher purpose, not at just one season of your life, but every day of your life. So when we understand this, we start to look at purpose in a different way. And I want to speak to people that may feel like they're in a job that is sucking the soul life out of them, because there's a lot of people in that camp. And I want you to know this, even if you're doing paid work that you do not love, and inside you're like, this isn't aligned for me, I want you to know that while you are there, for whatever time you're there doing that, you can still be living on purpose and making a contribution and feeling lit up about it without having to leave and without even necessarily realizing that it's possible for this to happen. So this will make sense as we move through the video. Now, what happens when you're not living in alignment with your soul's authentic path or your higher self and your intention for being here? Let's explore what the signs look like, because if you resonate with the signs, then it's going to help you to understand where you're at in your life journey right now. Again, none of these things are wrong. We're just on an evolutionary journey. So of course, at some point we wake up and at some point we say, oh, I'm getting signs to realign my life. Just very healthy, very natural. And as we go through this list, if you are nodding with all of these signs and you're thinking, oh no, I have all of these painful signs, I want you to know that I had every single one of these happening to me when I started to wake up in my life. And it did not take much time, and it did not take hard work in order for all of these things to start to drop away and to come into a new season. So, with that said, signs and symptoms of being unaligned are things like this: a lot of existential questions, or what we can call existential crisis. Who am I? What's the point of life? I don't understand. Feelings of increasing sense of depression, anxiety, can be numbness, feeling like you're empty inside, like there's a void, or uninspired. Another common one is having some forms of success, but you feel completely unfulfilled. And then you're looking at your success and you're going, well, I did all the things society told me to do and I still feel sucky. I still feel unfulfilled. Oh no, what have I done wrong, right? The void that I talked about, the emptiness inside, quite often people will try to fill the void. They'll use food, emotional eating, alcohol, drugs, sex, shopping, consumerism, getting more to try to fill ourselves up. And naturally we're trying to do that because we have some kind of pain and unease inside. And it's okay if we're doing that. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity to recognize that those things don't fill the void, do they? You and I both know they don't fill the void. It gives you temporary relief, but it will not create lasting resolution because something else is calling. A deeper thing is calling. Your soul is calling. Other signs are feeling directionless, not sure where to go, I don't know what to do. Feeling drained instead of energized by your daily life activities. Like I'll tell you now, back in my career before I woke up, when I was out of alignment, I would work long days and I would be exhausted. I'd get home, I'd be exhausted. I work now twice as long in my business and I am never exhausted. It energizes me because it's aligned for me. When we're not aligned, it exhausts us instead of energizes us. Other common signs and symptoms are we hear ourselves saying things like, I should just be happy. What's wrong with me that I can't just be happy? I've got a nice family. Why aren't I happy? I've got a job and a home. Why aren't I happy? And we start to second guess ourselves and think that it's only us going through it. It's not only you going through it. Okay, there's nothing wrong with you. These are signs of a next level spiritual awakening that is trying to happen. It's life calling you to step up because something more is available for you. Okay. Now, you might have had a spiritual awakening earlier in your life. Lots of us have, right? But I want you to know that you can have multiple. Meaning, say you had a wake-up spiritual awakening, say 10 years ago, and you think you're done. You're not done. You're not done. You come in seasons of your life, and you get woken to the next level, and it's like an upgrade. It's like a step up. And then you live at that level, and then life calls you to awaken to a new level. And so it goes. This is the evolution, where we're waking inside the dream of life and choosing to step into something even more aligned. Life wants to utilize you. Life wants you to be in your flow, to make your contribution. You can be a beautiful ambassador of universal loving energy, whether it's in your art and creativity, as a parent, raising a family, starting a business, creating technology and innovation, solving world problems, making a garden, growing food, writing, painting, whatever it is. But when we don't recognize the signs that's calling to us, it just feels like something's wrong. So I want you to take a moment now and journal any of the signs and symptoms that you're noticing right now. And I really encourage you to look at them as you write them down and say, these are healthy and natural, and there is nothing wrong with me or with my life. Herein lies a beautiful opportunity. Okay? Now I'm going to share with you on the flip side, what are signs that we are aligned? What does it look like or feel like or sound like when we are in greater alignment? It's not like you're out or you're in. There's just different degrees of alignment. When we're feeling more authentically aligned to who we really are and what we've come here for, we tend to feel like we've got direction. We tend to feel like we know where we're heading. That's not about having an exact plan and feeling control, but we feel a sense of something about where we're heading in our life at that season. We will typically feel things like possibility. We will feel creativity and joy. We will feel a sense of hope, and we will typically have an expanding sense of imagination and vision. Side note to this, when we're kids, when we're little, we have wild imagination. That's because when we're really little and we're first born, the veil between this dimension and where we come from as spirit, the veil is very thin. And you are most your authentic self when you are first born, before the world started conditioning you and you started experiencing life through limitations and conditioned lenses and expectations, and that weight came on. So really, when we awaken and we come into alignment, we're returning to this free-spirited self that actually we were born as. Other signs you're in alignment are that you feel connected to inspiration and intuition and passion. You can sense a feeling of fullness inside, feeling contented and satiated inside. Feeling connection is another one, and a sense of belonging, unity consciousness. I feel like I belong. I feel like I belong, and I'm connected somehow to these people that are all around me. And it's a sense of feeling needed and wanted, like your life has value. And it's not about some person needs you or some specific person wants you. It's not like, oh, well, I've got a boyfriend, girlfriend, or a partner and they want me, so now I feel okay. No, it's about that you know you are needed and wanted by life, and life brought you here, and that's enough. That's enough. You will also notice the more you come into alignment, you will start to have greater sense of peace, even when you're having life challenges, greater trust, even when you can't see your path, and life just starts to make more sense because you're seeing it from an authentic, aligned spiritual vantage point, okay? And you will also start to notice that you sense inside of people and animals and nature and life itself an aliveness, a divine aliveness inside everything and everyone. That is the awakening and the flowering of your consciousness to recognize that what is in me is in you, and what is in me is in this animal, and what is in me is in this ocean, and what is in me is in this inanimate object. You may also notice that as you become more and more aligned, increasing signs, synchronicities, serendipities, because you are attuned to universal intelligence. You'll start to notice you feel more expressed or more able to express, more authentic, your confidence rises, and so much more. So just take a moment and journal the ways you might be feeling aligned. Any specific areas of your life where you notice that you're most aligned, or what do you sense is possible for you when you're hearing me say these things? Where do you feel drawn to? Where do you sense a possibility exists for you? Now, if any of these signs of misalignment ring true for you, again, don't worry. There are clear steps that you can take to start to awaken your soul's path and purpose. You don't have to be like, I need to wait for some spontaneous spiritual awakening to happen to me. Not at all. You are a divine, extremely powerful being, and you're here having this conversation, so you are already awakening or awakened inside this dream of life, and you can begin to take steps to come into greater alignment, practically speaking, in how you're showing up in your life, your behavior, where you go, what you do, who you're with. So, before we go into that, I want to talk about how do we actually discover your soul purpose. As you sit right there, your unique purpose. Maybe you already know. Maybe you have an inkling. Maybe you've got no idea. So we're going to talk through that to understand how do you identify your unique areas of learning, healing, growth, your soul lessons. The first thing that I love to do is just very practical. I want you to look in your life right now at where you have recurring patterns of life challenges. I mean life challenges that just keep boomeranging back at you. The same type of problem repeating. When you have a recurring problem, maybe it's been lifelong or somewhat long running, and it keeps repeating over and over again, this is where life is asking you to learn, heal, and grow. And no matter what you do, if you try to avoid it, if you try to deny it, if you try to step away, sidestep, you can't escape the power of your soul lessons, because your soul has chosen to come here and gain mastery in this area. Notice, you did not come here to struggle and suffer and have challenges and problems. That is not the point. The point is challenges are vehicles for you to gain mastery. Now, what might the soul lessons be? There are so many. Okay, I'm going to refer you to other resources so you can dive deeper, but they can be things like the soul lesson of confidence, trust, self-expression, honesty, discipline, freedom, abundance, creativity, openness, acceptance. And if you do want to dive deeper into this, you'll find links in the descriptions to other resources that I have, including I've got a free masterclass called Design Your Soul Aligned Life, and in my book, Your Soul Journey Simplified, which gives you a lot more in-depth answers about how to run through these exercises. So your action right now is I want you to write down any areas of recurring themes of challenges that you're having in your life. The next step is, for each one of those challenges, notice and reflect, what is the life lesson held inside that challenge? The soul lesson, that's part of your soul's purpose for being here, is not the challenge itself, but what the challenge is asking you to master in terms of life skill, wisdom, and growth. Who do you need to be in order to master that area, to overcome that challenge? What could you right now start practicing on a daily basis to become more masterful in that area so that you would overcome that repeating challenge? Because when we get the lesson, we master the energy, then the challenge dissolves and the challenge becomes wisdom. And what do you do with wisdom? You take it forward and it becomes part of your contribution into the world. So we're going to move on now to the second part of the exercise, which is how do you know what your unique soul purpose is in relation to contribution? What most people just call my life purpose. I want to know what my life purpose is. So there are different ways to map this, and I'm going to give you some external resources that you can go and look at if you want to dive deeper. But there is a really beautiful and simple way that it will show itself to you. And I want to share with you the two ways this shows up. The first one is your soul, higher self, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is speaking to you from within. That's the first way. I'm going to tell you what it looks like in a minute. The second way is life, divine intelligence, which is everything around you, the universe, is guiding you to wake you up and to help you see what is purposeful and what will make you happy and lit up. And it will show you via signs, synchronicities, and serendipities. Okay? You'll be shown your way, the path. You'll be given clues. You'll be given nudges. And it's simply to say that where you're guided is where you can be fully expressed, fully lit up, fully aligned, fully yourself, fully joyous, having more flow, having more fulfillment. And you say, well, is that purpose? Is me just being happy and express purpose? Yes. That is purpose. That is a gift to humanity, because when you are all of those things, what are you? Creative, giving, generous, in action, amazing. You're at your best. You're at your human best potential when you're in that state of alignment. So, deeper, let's look at the first part. How is your soul speaking to you from within in a way that will guide you to understand your contribution? And the way it does this is via a way that your mind and your body can receive and understand the spiritual guidance, and that's through the language of feeling. 3 types of feelings in particular: passions, inspirations, and intuition are the 3 ways your soul is speaking to you to try to point you to where purpose and contribution exist for you that will light you up. Now, passion, inspirations, and intuition, these are not things you choose or create. You don't sit down with a pen and just create passion and inspirations and intuition. They choose you, and they come through you as divine energy. And they will point you to where your soul self wants to play in the world. I want you to think about it's like otherworldly energy connecting in to your awareness. It's not of your mind. So without judgment, it's time to notice where those energies are coming in and where they want to flow for you. Grab a notebook, and I want you to jot down, what are your passions? What are your inspirations, inspired ideas that have been floating in? And what is your intuition nudging you about? Now, here is the secret sauce magic. When those 3 things converge, meaning your passions, your inspirations, and your intuition are all pointing in the same direction, pay close attention, because that is where you're getting pointed. What might it look like if you decided to say, well, if she's right, and I have these passions, inspirations, and intuition, and I was willing to take one small step in that direction, and trust for a moment, try on for size, that it was my soul speaking to me, what might happen? And the answer is, you don't know what will happen, and I don't know what will happen, but I can take a very good, educated guess, and that is that magic will happen. Some kind of magic will happen. Now, here's why people don't do it. People deny, they doubt, and they disagree with these soulful energies, while simultaneously praying for guidance and help, and wanting to be soul aligned. The information is flooding in, the soulful energy is flooding in, but the mind says, well, that doesn't make sense. I'm trying to figure it out. Where's that going to lead me? How am I going to do that? I don't have time for that. Where am I going to get the money for that? How am I going to turn that into a job? Instead of playing with the energy and letting your path unfold. So, side note, just an inspiration that's arisen while we're doing this, is to share with you that if I had denied my passions, inspirations, and intuition, then we would not be having this conversation. Because I had a corporate career, a great corporate career, doing something completely different. And I started having spiritual stuff happen, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, and I'm quite passionate about this. And I started having inspirations about writing a book about some of the signs and synchronicities and how I was following them and how it seemed to be opening up this whole new magical path in my life. And then my intuition was telling me to contact book publishers and all this kind of, how does our path unfold? Our path unfolds not because we get to control it and we map it out. It unfolds because we have these nudges and we say yes, we have a willingness, we pull the thread and we let it unravel and we see where it leads. And by all means we can have intention. By all means we can create a plan. But often what happens is if you're not willing to listen to your passions, inspirations, and intuition, you're not willing to pull the thread and you're not willing to give them some oxygen, then your soul can't breathe. Your soul can't breathe. And that's where you feel like, without sounding dramatic, you feel like you're dying inside. I have had so many people say to me, I feel like I'm suffocating inside my own body and inside my own life. Because their creativity, their passion, their joy, everything has been suffocated out of them. Because they're living a life doing the things they think they have to do or other people told them to do. And this is why understanding your soul path and aligning with it, it's like bringing you back to life. It's like resuscitating your soul. So now that you've gained some insights into how you can start to identify your learning, healing, growth, your soul lessons, and your soulful contribution by understanding where your passions, inspirations, and intuition are pointing you, here are some powerful tools that can help you to further explore if you want to go deeper on this. These are spiritual guidance tools that are separate to this. 2 of them are mine and 3 of them are things that I have used in my own journey and I found extraordinarily helpful. So I'm going to reference them for you in case you want to go off and explore them too. So the first one is I've taken the 9 years of deep dive about this whole topic and I've put it into my latest book, which is Your Soul Journey Simplified. So if you want to get that, it's got the soul journey map and all the exercises, everything laid out to help you. You can use that as a guide for your own life. You'll find a link in the description. The second one is come and join my Soul Odyssey mentorship. That is A to Z with all of the resources, life support, tools, and step-by-step process to help you bring all parts of yourself into alignment with the soulful self and your purpose. It would be a pleasure to have you. You can find the link in the description for that. The third one is evolutionary astrology, which is often called your birth chart. And that is where you get a professional astrologer to look at your birth chart, which is the stars, the star systems at the point of your birth, when your soul incarnated, which, by the way, the date that you were born and the time you were born is not random. Your soul incarnated at that point, and the stars at that point tell us a lot about what your soul came here for. I found getting that done incredibly helpful and fascinating for my journey. The fourth resource is numerology. Particularly, I love the life path number, but also you can get a full chart of your numbers, which incorporates so many more aspects. And again, I love numerology because it adds a different perspective. It's like we're a diamond and we're looking at ourselves and our life from different perspectives for self-understanding. And then the fifth resource that I found really helpful is Akashic record readings to understand soul history and your purpose for incarnation. That's just another angle for coming at the same thing to help fill in the pieces of the puzzle if that interests you. So all I'm going to encourage you to do is not race off and think you need to do all those things. Just notice what intrigues you from what I shared. Notice if you've got a hunch or a nudge or an intuition, and don't judge it or hesitate, just follow it and explore. And I want you to also know that as you work with these kinds of tools and we have these kind of conversations, you are never alone, okay? The universe, what created you, you might call that God, creator, divinity, universe, oneness, Allah, love and consciousness, that which created you is with you, around you, 24/7, in you, through you, of you, guiding you on your path, often in quite unexpected ways. So that's going to lead us to now talking about that divine guidance. It is guiding you. And why does it do that? Because life is interconnected. Everything is interconnected. And this whole thing you call life is this evolutionary impulse. And we want awakening of all parts of the whole. So all parts of the whole are invested in the awakening of all other parts of the whole. And you are one of those parts. And so life, source, divinity, universe is seeking to awaken you inside the stream of life. Why? To remember who you are. To remember that you are more than this mind and body. And to invite you to dance and play with your life with purpose so you can be lit up. You can be joyous. It's not like, oh, I've got to live my soul purpose. There's something I have to go and do. It's like a job. It's like, so you can be lit up. So you can be happy. So even if you feel stuck in your mind and you're like, I need to try to figure this out, right? Or maybe you're feeling disconnected and you're like, oh, I do not feel passion for anything. I am not having inspired ideas and I do not notice my intuition. That's okay. And even if you're like, I can't see my soul lessons, I don't know what's going on here. And even if you think, I'll never figure it out, it's just for everyone else, it's not for me. The universe knows better. Okay, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. It is not more difficult for the universe to reach you than it is to reach me or anyone else. It is the energy and intelligence that suspends planets in space, that turns seeds into trees and flowers and creates complex ecological systems. It is the intelligence that is making your liver function right now, that is making your heart beat, that allows you to see and hear and breathe, and you are not doing anything to make that happen, and yet it's just happening for you. And as it does that, guess what else it does for you? It moves energy, it moves people, it moves places, it shifts situations to awaken you inside your life, to help you, to nudge you out of situations that are no longer aligned for you, to call you into situations that are better aligned for you, to put into your path people, information that will serve and support you, whether you're looking for a solution to heal your body, or you're looking for the love of your life, or you're looking for something that will be interesting and good for you for work. The universe can place these things into your awareness. When we are awake inside the dream and we start to pay attention, we start to recognize that we are actually getting guided so that your soul can fulfill its very purpose for being here. So, other ways that we get guided in life through this ongoing conversation: visions, dreams, yes, synchronicities, yes, animal totems, yes, signs, repeating themes. Start to notice that you are actually on a treasure hunt, an exciting way to see how life is speaking to you and start to decipher what's going on around you. And sometimes life is subtle, and sometimes life is very blunt with us. And if it is being blunt with you, just remember life loves you. So if you're getting nudged and it feels really painful and uncomfortable, remember that it's for your higher good. Now, I had this happen around my soul purpose. I was not actually wanting to hear what I received, what life was giving me. The situation was I was stuck and not fulfilled and didn't have a sense of purpose. And out of nowhere, this spiritual awakening started to happen. At that time, I was in a corporate career and I had no spiritual foundation for my life. And I started getting so many repeated, recurring, relentless signs about two things, neither of which felt good to me. One was healing and one was leadership. And I thought that these were just random. I tried to ignore them, but over and over and over again, the signs and synchronicities happened. The reason I'm sharing this with you, pay attention, because when I gave over and followed those two signs, it radically transformed my life into a totally different reality. And everything that you need to open up the next season of your life will come for you if you hold gentle openness, not attachment, gentle openness, and curiosity. And it can be scary as well as exciting when you're thinking about making changes and you're getting guided. So I just want to assure you of something. You don't have to figure anything out. You are already on your journey. To some degree, you're in purpose, whether you've realized it or not. You are learning, you are healing, you are growing, and you are contributing. But you can take it next level. And you can take it to a place where you are lit up to a new degree, okay? I'm just going to share with you also a couple of other ways that your soul journey is playing out that maybe you haven't even recognized. Did you know that your significant relationships in your life right now are soul contracts? That the soul of the other person agreed to be here and to be in relationship with you because in some way it would serve your soul's intention and their soul intention. We can have yearnings that are seated in us and you just think, oh, I just want that thing. Why do you want what you want? You want it because it's seeded in you. It's seeded in you as what is aligned for you. Your past, the stuff that you think is wrong and bad and that you haven't forgiven yourself for and you're still blaming yourself for, or the things about your past that you're holding people in grievance about, you want to look back and go, What about that is actually setting me up for the future my soul came here for? What about that is trying to give me wisdom and forge me like a diamond under pressure to become who I've come here to be so I can do what I'm here to do? And hindsight is a beautiful thing. We don't often see it in the moment, but hindsight is a beautiful thing when you look back and you realize these things. And it's okay if you feel uncertain and uncomfortable with this whole topic, because when our purpose is calling to us to make changes and maybe even to let go of who we might have been in the past or what we might have been doing in the past or the present, and we get called into something different, it is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's confronting, because human beings don't like change and we don't like letting go. And both are required if you want to evolve. So let's talk about some common blocks that can arise, and I'm going to help you move through them. It's really common for fears and doubts and second guessing to occur as you begin unearthing a higher sense of purpose and you start to explore aligning with your soul and what does that even mean for you. It will often not make sense to your logical mind, right? Because it's not of your mind, it's of your spirit. It's not something the mind can wrap itself around. And you just want to always remember that your logical mind wants to protect you from change and risk and uncertainty, all of which seems very unfamiliar to your mind. The mind's job is just to keep you safe. So living your soul-aligned life and purpose, it's going to require you to overcome your own mind. It's going to require you to start to learn to not listen and buy into the fearful thoughts that are in your mind. And here is why it's really challenging for most people. Most people are living inside their mind, not inside their heart. And there is a really big difference between when you let the mind lead and the heart gets dragged along versus the heart is leading and you use your mind to activate and implement what it is that is meaningful to you and what is that you feel is good for you. So if you are living in a space where you have a full mind and perhaps an empty heart, or the mind is running the show, we have to set about reversing that equation. And the way we do that is we just need to start creating some space inside of you, starting to quiet your mind, starting to empty the mind of the blocks and perspectives that are getting in your way. And we do that also by dropping into our heart center, because if you start a practice of dropping into your heart center, you can't be in your mind because you can't be in both places at once. So a beautiful practice is just to regularly place your hands on your heart and bring your awareness out of the mind and drop down into the heart center. To focus your breathing in that intelligent, incredible chakra and organ that is your heart. To feel inside and to even ask your heart what wisdom it wants to tell you. When you are in your heart, you cannot be in your mind at the same time. And this starts to train you to live from a different place. You get to choose, do you want to be heart-led or mind-run? Just make a choice. And then we just practice day by day. It takes practice to exercise the muscle of being in your heart center and being led from that place. The most important practical step you can actually make for overcoming blocks to being in a soul-aligned life is this: to start releasing judgments, fears, trauma, expectations, and stuck emotions that we carry around from our past. When you go through a process, and there are many, many beautiful modalities for releasing fears and trauma and mindset conditioning and old energetic, emotional, blocked up stuff, as you do that, what happens? What happens when we let go of those things? We put them down, we release them, we dissolve them. What is left is the question. What is left when you let go of what is not true? What is left is you. The authentic you, the real free-spirited you can emerge. You don't have to find your soulful self. You don't have to find your flow. You do not have to dig for it. You just need to remove all the barriers to it. So as we do this clearing of inner limitations, that beautiful result is you get left with your authentic self. So once you release those blocks, what is the next step? The next step is to say, how am I going to integrate living a soulful and purpose-driven life? How am I going to integrate that as a daily practice? And the reason we need to have this conversation is this. When you awaken consciously in your life, you would think that you would never go back to sleep again. You would think that you could never go back to being unconscious and being in habitual patterns and being owned by your mind or being run by other people. You would think that might never happen, but it actually happens more commonly than you would think, that we fall asleep inside the dream of life again. We hit the snooze button on living a soulful life. So we have to have things that we do on a daily basis to exercise the muscle of our spiritual path, to live in alignment. So here are some things I encourage you to do. Get to know your soulful self. And what does that mean? Well, it's like getting to know anyone. You start to ask questions. You start to listen inside. You can meditate and ask to be shown what you need to know by your soulful self, higher self. You can do what I call heart-focused inquiry to start to remember who you were born as. That simply means you put your hands on top of your heart, you close your eyes, and you breathe with your heart, bringing all your attention into the heart center, and you breathe 2, 3, 4 times with your heart. And then you tap on your heart like you're knocking on the door of your soul, and you ask a question. And then you sit in silence to receive the answer of whatever your soulful wisdom wants to give you. So you can get creative with the questions that you ask, but a great one is, show me who I really am. Help me reconnect to who I was really born to be. You can also do just a logical and practical exercise. You can journal to sense into, I wonder who my most authentic self is. I wonder if I was completely free, what would that look like? What would I do? Where would I go? How would I behave? You can also start to create a connection with your divine unseen team. You might call those spirit guides, you might call it angels, it might be gods in your culture, ascended masters. And you start to cultivate a relationship, and people say, how? How do I cultivate a relationship with these unseen beings? The answer is the same way you cultivate a relationship in normal everyday life. You ask questions, you share your heart, you listen. You start to tune into the ways that they communicate with you. The more you do this, you are opening the channels, you're opening your circuitry, your energy to receive in loving guidance and wisdom. Pay attention to how life is guiding you with signs and synchronicities. And in your daily life, use rituals, use practices, use tools and techniques that will help you to let go of what doesn't serve you and build the circuitry of your soulful self. My favorite techniques that I go to, and I still use them all the time, or usually on a daily basis, are diaphragmatic breathing, heart-focused breathing, heart-focused inquiry, like we just did, EFT, also known as tapping, and I also love energy healing and energy clearing practices. Definitely mind mastery, learning how to lovingly lead your mind, and then daily conversation with the unseen realm. We do all of this in our daily life so that we can build our capacity to live in a spiritually aligned path. If you want help with any of that, you'll find links in the description to dive deeper with me into all the resources. You're very welcome to come in and join me in the Soul Odyssey mentorship if this resonates with you. So now we're just going to wrap up with some final thoughts. Remember what we've covered here today. You're a soul on a journey, and you have absolutely got a unique purpose, and you can awaken to it, and you can integrate it and live it in your life. And when you do, it brings greater fulfillment and magic. If you need more support, you know where to find me. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification if you want to get future videos when they're released, and I'm going to see you in the next vid.